We're going to do chocolate today, but before we start the cooking, I want to introduce you to my sous chef, Mikenzie Hammel.
Hello.
Channel 4, but she lives in Sheboygan.
Yes.
Thank you, thank you, thank you. Thank you for volunteering.
Of course.
Now, my first question is, are you related to Dorothy Hammel?
I'm not. No.
Do you know how to ice skate?
Yes, I am. I can't say that I'm a professional, but I can manage on the skates a little bit.
Good for you. I couldn't do a somersault or a cartwheel. I could barely manage roller skates. I was not what you call an athletic young person. We have our volunteers here, Candace and Sherry, Beth, Peg, Sue, Francoise, Judy, and Scott's daughter, Hannah, is monitoring this camera. Thank you, thank you. Thank you, volunteers. Thank you so much. As you know, we could not do this without volunteers. And of course, Ann Kraft and Jar did all of this decorating. I simply tell Ann the food that we're going to do, and she comes up with all of this. Thank you a lot. What did I forget? Who knows? Okay, we'll start here with chicken mole, or mole. No, it's mole. And it's simply cooked chicken with a sauce on top, and that sauce has some cocoa or chocolate in it. It does not taste like chocolate sauce or Hershey syrup. It just has some of that cacao in the sauce. And then we're going to do a noodle dish, these little vermicelli noodles, and the dish is called fideo. It looks like fideo. Pretend the D is a TH. Fideo. So mole is not exactly the way it's spelled. Fideo is not exactly the way it's spelled. Chocolate cream puffs. They're simply the cream puffs that you all know how to make with a little cocoa powder added to the flour. That's all. And the chocolate caramel ganache. There's the recipe, but remember, you can use canned chocolate frosting if you want to. No, there is no chocolate ganache police coming to your house to check. And then some bark, Brazil nut bark. Melt some chocolate and some more chocolate, put some nuts on it, and it says fudge. I could not find a thing called fudge, and I did not feel like making it. So we have chocolate-covered caramels, which is a little more chewy, but that's what this is. Okay, my dear Mikenzie.
Yes.
Tell me the name Mikenzie. How did you happen to get the name Mikenzie?
I think my parents just liked how it sounded.
It does sound good.
But it is spelled a bit uniquely. It's
yes.
M-I-K.
Yes.
It's, I guess, a little bit more of a phonetic spelling, if you will. So,
yes.
I don't know. I like the uniqueness of it.
Good.
So, yeah.
And you live in Sheboygan.
Yes. Yes.
And your husband is from Arizona.
Mm-hmm. He's only ever lived in Arizona his whole life, so this will be his first winter. Yeah, we'll make sure he's all bundled up. It'll be okay.
Okay. We'll start with the chicken mole. Okay. I already cooked the chicken. I don't have to tell you how to cook the chicken. Mikenzie, here we go.
Alrighty.
I'll read these off and you can put them in there.
Okay.
Let's trade places.
Trade places.
A cup of breadcrumbs. Luckily, yesterday, Vicki had leftover bread and she made lots of crumbs.
All right, cup of breadcrumbs.
Cup of breadcrumbs. Tablespoons of raisins. However many raisins are in there, just put it in.
All righty.
Good.
Good. good. I can't. You that don't want to go.
And chocolate. The Baker's unsweetened chocolate. Now it calls for a ½ ounce, and these little bitty squares are a ¼ ounce. So, well, that's pretty close. All right. Well, and these little pieces can go into the food processor.
Alrighty.
And then a cut up green pepper. I had a neighbor has some peppers growing, so I think a couple of them will be in the sauce that we're using today. This is grocery store green pepper. And thank you for taking photos. This is a pitiful little knife. This is more like it. And I did bring my knife sharpener this week, and we sharpened the knives so that they do cut a little bit better. That can go in there.
Okay.
And tomato. Every time I pick up this Roma tomato, I think it's a red pepper, but that can go into the food processor. Let's see what else goes in there. Green pepper, green tomato, a clove of garlic, or some garlic.
Can't go wrong with a little extra garlic.
That's right, that's right, that's right. And then, I know, Candace, that you brought flour to me. Thank you. And it says to grind this and then add flour and chili powder. I just put it all together. And you know, as cooks, that's what you do often. When it says sift together the flour and the salt and the baking powder and the baking soda, do you sift that together?
No.
Yeah, right. Okay, what else? The chili powder. Well, this was the broth for cooking.
I see.
Yeah. We'll get this. Let's see here. Isn't that nice? Look at that.
Beautiful.
That's an easy way. Food processors, to me, are a very helpful tool.
Oh, yes.
More so than blenders. Blenders, you know, it goes to the bottom and you have to, but food processors work quite well. Now, let's put that into the electric kettle.
The electric kettle. Do you want me to bring it over here?
Right. Here, all this stuff you can take away. Sherry, you want to just take that stuff away? Thank you.
You're done.
Thank heavens for volunteers.
Yes, I should be.
As I said last time, if the volunteers weren't here, I'd be in my car crying.
I can't put that.
You fine if I use one of these?
Oh, yeah, right, go right ahead, yep. Well, I think Jane and Emily would say the same thing. If we didn't have the volunteers, they'd be crying also.
Nearly there.
And Mikenzie,
yes.
I think when you get older, you're going to discover how quickly it happens, for one thing, and also that doing it as a volunteer is easier than getting paid for it, right? Now, you're young and strong. I bet you can lift that off.
Oh, yes.
I needed some plants from outside moved inside. I had to call my grandsons to lift it. You know? Just think, and this is in the mid-'80s. What do you think I'll be able to lift when I'm 100? My grandfather lived to be 102. He was born in 1889.
Wow.
And he just lived and lived and lived, and one day he died. And as I said before, his favorite foods all his life, white bread and bacon. Okay. Chili powder and the chicken broth. Okay, can plug that in. Thank you, Candace, for making this.
What temp do you want it on?
Oh, high.
High?
Yep. Give it a stir. Now the picture shows it very dark. You'll see when this is made, and also when we bring the chicken from the oven, the sauce is not this dark. Maybe this is just poetic license.
Get that blended in there.
But that's the sauce. It's pretty simple. You cook it together, pour it over the cooked chicken, and let it heat. And it does get quite thick because of the flour in there. And I do even have some sesame seeds we can sprinkle on so it will look like the picture.
Fancy.
Any questions about the chicken mole? And this time, instead of breasts, I used thighs and legs. Breasts tend to be drier, which is what most people like. But I think for this particular recipe, I thought the thighs and the drumsticks would be more appropriate. On to the, how do we pronounce that?
Fideo.
You got it. You got it. Okay. These are vermicelli, or the super thin noodles. Now these are kind of in coils. So could you just, break them up?
Yep.
And of course, lard or salad oil. And today we're using, and the Spanish name is manteca. And the main thing about this is we melt the fat or heat the oil and put the noodles in there to get them brown. That's the only purpose. Not dark brown, but to get them brown. And then add the onion and tomatoes and garlic and chicken broth to cook the noodles. But having them toasted ahead of time makes an extra flavorful noodle. If we can convince this thing to melt. And of course, the super thin noodles are the classic, but you could use spaghetti, you could use curly noodles, anything. But having them browned first gives them an extra nice flavor. Yes. If you want to be healthy, yes, you can. Absolutely. Yep.
What's the difference between lard and Crisco?
Lard is from the pig. Right. And Crisco is a vegetable shortening.
Oh, it is a vegetable?
Yeah.
Oh.
Right.
So not as much fat in it? Or?
It has the fat. It doesn't have the animal cholesterol. And at 84, it doesn't make any difference to me anymore. Melt, baby, melt.
Nearly there.
I'm only going to demonstrate the browning of the noodles. We won't bother adding the onions, the tomatoes, the garlic, or the chicken broth because you understand how that works. But it's the browning that is unique about this noodle dish. Okay, let's go ahead and put those in there.
Still got some foils in there.
Yeah. sometimes they're in coils. Some bags of this is completely broken, and sometimes it's long, thin vermicelli, like super skinny spaghetti. They all work.
Starting to get a nice color on them.
You can see they're getting a little bit golden, but they can get as to this color, but then quickly add the liquid, because they would then get to this color in a flash. And I'm trying to remember how I learned this. A long time ago. It certainly wasn't my husband. He likes me to cook things, but his menu is about 4 foods in the world. But he's very polite. He just says no thank you. He's never rude about it. But the rest of the family will eat things and try things. How about you and your spouse and your family?
He is not picky at all. He will eat just about everything, as long as it's got a lot of flavor and done well. So.
Oh, this is beautiful. Look at this. This is beautiful. Look at this golden color. That is just exactly what we want. I have a grandson who's willing to try anything.
Love that.
Yeah, right. And my husband always says, why would I try it if I don't like it? And we tease him about that, yes. But the one grandson will taste everything and then decide. And I let him taste my very dirty martini one time. He said, oh, Grandma, that's awful. I said, yes, it is, and I love it. It's simply the strongest gin there is, or the most piney gin, like Beefeater, and then olive juice, so you know that ooh, it makes your mouth go like that. Okay, fideo. Any questions about fideo? Chocolate cream puffs. The water, the butter, a little bit of sugar, flour, and then if you want chocolate cream puffs, you just add cocoa to it, nothing else. It isn't that exotic. What else? What other flavor? I don't know, there's no such thing. Is there such thing as strawberry tang? How about, I wonder how it would work to put some orange tang in there to make cream puffs.
I bet that would be very, very good.
Oh, I gotta
Then it would be like a dreamsicle, you know, that orange sherbet.
Yeah.
Yes, yes. I haven't had tang in the house for years, but maybe, is it still in the grocery store?
Yeah.
Okay.
And we're using it up in space, right?
Okay, and of course, remember Russian tea, and we always had to have. Yeah, for that. Do you know Russian tea? Okay, it is from about 30, 35 years ago. A person mixes together tang, maybe a little bit more sugar, instant tea, and then some spices. So it's a powdery mixture, and then you add hot water, and you have Russian tea that probably the Russians have never heard of. Any questions about cream puffs? No, you know. And I made small ones this time. And it's a lot more fun to make big ones. And this does work great. This really does. Is there a scissors?
There was, yep, right here.
Yeah. And then to put a piping tube in there, and then fill it with the mixture, and then remember, if you have this all filled with the mixture, when you're piping it, you press from the top. Don't use your little finger, use the top fingers. And it makes nice puffs. I made some yesterday and wasn't paying attention, and the tip went down the garbage disposal. And no. So I called Heim Plumbing, and he said, well, Marilyn, instead of us coming over there, that little ratchet thing that you've gotten, that you have with your garbage disposal, see if that works. It did. It did. I had to work a little bit, but it released it. well, needless to say, the tip was mashed. The chocolate caramel ganache, cream, butter, sugar. I would say that's a cup. It's probably a half. All right. Butter. 2 tablespoons, not a half cup. Oh, like that. That's exactly what I needed, and I already used milk. Oh, but thank you, Candace, thank you. She did exactly the right thing. And a half cup sugar. That's about a third. Make about half. Okay, if you'll find a spoon and stir. And then, do we have chocolate chips? We'll use some of these. And the sugars and the butter is almost dissolved. We'll add some chocolate to it.
Let me do this here.
And some unsweetened chocolate, which would be that thing that I had up there. Let's see, did it go back to the kitchen?
Oh, that's not there.
No.
Thank you.
And the unsweetened chocolate. We made some ganache this morning, and it didn't take very long for it to become firm enough to put into the chocolate cream puffs. And sure. And Judy did all of them. She cut open the cream puffs, and she filled all of them with ganache. Remember, you can also use canned frosting. Once this is all melted together, just let it sit, and it will become a bit more firm again, more like Nutella in the jar or peanut butter, that consistency. That's it. You can turn it off, and it becomes like this. So I'll put this here. You can take a spoonful. It's kind of like super duper fudge. Any questions about the chocolate caramel ganache? And it's simply the cream and the sugar that makes it caramel. Now I wonder if you could simply melt chocolate chips and caramels together and do it the easy way.
Yeah, maybe.
Okay, the bark, Brazil nut bark, melted chocolate. I'm going to cut some white chocolate and some Brazil nuts and some fudge, which is actually chocolate-covered caramels. So grab a big knife.
Big knife. You fine using this one?
That's fine.
Okay.
So and then I'll do a little bit, and then you can do some.
How much more do you want?
Oh, how about these 3?
Those 3? Okay. A little bit big on that one.
That's all right. Some people like to have big chunks of white chocolate. And then these cut into maybe quarters.
Okay.
That's the chocolate-covered caramels. The fudge. Mikenzie, I'm so glad you said yes when I called you.
Oh, me too. This is fun. And I'm learning new recipes too.
And then the Brazil nuts.
Okay. Do you want them finely chopped?
Oh, however you like them.
Okay.
Candace, is it melting? Is it melted? Yeah, thin, a little bit thinner. Even if you have to put a little bit of butter in it.
What about heavy cream? No.
You want some butter?
No, I think sometimes if you put liquid into melted chocolate, it makes it seize up.
Oh, yeah.
Try that one.
That makes sense.
What do you think? One more little pat?
No, I wonder.
We'll put the chopped white chocolate,
Yeah.
the hazelnuts, and the
don't think we
fudge
need it.
back in here.
And the chocolate was pretty warm by itself, so.
Yeah, because I don't have a spot. You're a sous chef. You're the master. I'm not.
Okay, and then we'll spread it on here.
What do you think? A little bit thinner than this? It's still pretty thick.
If you can spread it out here, it's just demo.
Just demo. Got it.
Oh, if I put on gloves, I can spread it with my fingers. Thank you, thank you. And at home, you don't have to put on gloves, you get to lick your fingers. But I don't think I should do that in cooking class.
You said you wanted to spread it out, right?
Yeah. Okay, and then some white chocolate on there, and the fudge, and the fudge. Let it firm up again, and then when you break it apart, this is what you have. What else could we put on there? Jelly beans at Easter time? Oh, yeah. If you'd melt the white chocolate, spread it out, and top it with jelly beans. Oh, yes.
Mm-hmm. Oh, and peppermint bark, of course,
Yes.
for the holidays.
Yep, at the holidays, yes. Any questions about the Brazil nut bark? And I thought Brazil nuts, why not? We all know walnuts, we all know pecans. Hazelnuts, I think I couldn't find, but those would taste great on there. But the Brazil nuts were available. And they are easy to chop because they're so big. Okay, we'll clean this off. Let's have some food.